right, so next week what we have for you is August 12th of 1996. And like always, we'll start with Nitro. And the show opens up, and Tony Schiavone tells us that it is a dark day for WCW since Hogan won the WCW title last night. Zbyszko is acting very disappointed in the WCW wrestlers, and he asked them where were they while Hall and Nash came out during the main event. Fair question, where were you?
People in WCW, nobody has any friends.
Yeah, that's a recurring problem with the beginning of this feud is that NWO keeps beating down on people, but yet no one seems to be helping the WCW wrestlers. So, but whatever. We got to establish the NWO, so. But what the first match for the night is going to be High Voltage and Rough and Ready versus the Dungeon of Doom, namely being Big Bubba, Taskmaster, Hugh Morris, Barbarian, and Ming. During the beginning of the match, fans are booing the shit out of Rough and Ready and High Voltage. They don't give a damn about those tag teams, and they are surprisingly into the Dungeon of Doom here. And if you're asking where we're at, we're in Wyoming, so the Dungeon of Doom must be over in Wyoming. Yeah, it was just interesting to see them get a good reaction more than they typically do, because most crowds don't really care. But we're not going to bore you with this match because it's just a quick match anyway. The finish for this one is Ming kicks one of the High Voltage members, I forget which one it is, for the win. After the match, Rough and Ready beat down High Voltage because they're pissed that they lost a match for them. Thankfully, this did not set up a feud. At least it was not a feud on Nitro. For this match, it was kind of a pointless match, but it was just WCW trying to build up the Dungeon of Doom since we're having multiple factions right now in WCW. NWO, Horsemen, Dungeon of Doom. So we're trying to build the Dungeon of Doom up, but I think it's past the point where anyone truly cares about this group.
This was a get them on TV kind of thing.
So that was that. Really nothing to write home about. But we'll move on to what happens next. And it's Sting and Lex Luger come to the announce table and they get on the headset. Luger says that they are sick and tired of following the rules. And Sting says that they don't care about the controversy from Hog Wild last night, but they want to clear it up right now. So Luger and Sting wait for the NWO to show up. They do not. Sting gets back on the mic and he says that the NWO had any guts, they will show up to the ring right now. And again, they do not show up. So Sting says he is not surprised. He even tells the outsiders they can bring the baseball bats with them. Baseball bats might be a common thing with Sting here soon. And then eventually Luger and Sting get so frustrated with the NWO not showing up, we leave as we go to commercial.
Cowards.
Yeah. But this is kind of just more showing that the NWO doesn't show up when the fight is supposed to be fair. And then, Jay, we get your favorite thing, another Glacier vignette.
We're on, would you like the guest of the week?
Are we on 12?
No, we're on 16.
16 weeks.
We're still about a month away.
He is coming, though.
He'll be here.
We promise.
Unfortunately.
So for the second match of Nitro, we have the Renegade versus Diamond Dallas Page. The Renegade comes out. He does not have any of the facial paint on. He appears to be moving away from being a Ultimate Warrior ripoff and doesn't really go anywhere, but I just took note of that.
Or so they could put him in a tag team with Joe Gomez, and then all they do is just eat jobs. But, you know, the end result for this match, Diamond Cutter.
Yeah, for the win. The crowd is also hot throughout this whole night. This is a good crowd they got here. They react to pretty much anything in this night. They love DDP. This is only kind of like a tease of what's to come from him because he's about to get red hot here soon. But yeah, like you said, Diamond Cutter, that was it. So after the match, we do see the outsiders, and Scott Hall's wearing a shirt that has WCW circled. It has a line through it. I don't think those guys really like WCW. But they're backstage, they're sitting on a couch. Nash tells Sting and Luger that they are on NWO time and they can make all the challenges they want, but the NWO is going to do what they want to do when they feel ready. Hall says that they did what they said they were going to do last night, and they beat Sting and Luger, and then they took the WCW title, and he can't believe people are blaming fair and objective referee Nick Patrick. And Nash even interjects and says Patrick is a senior referee. Give him the proper respect. Thank you very much.
Yeah, the NWO, they're all about respect.
The Hall continues. He tells Sting and Luger that they want to fight them, and they will. They said they will even do it tonight. But Hogan tells the outsiders that they don't have anything to prove to Sting and Luger. He then moves on to the other conversation of saying that no one has figured out who the 4th, 5th, 6th, so on members of the NWO are going to be, even though they've given them the clues. But then Hogan tells the outsiders that if they beat Sting and Luger, then the WCW will lose the only remaining fans. But yeah, they're just teasing more members. Who are they going to be? That's going to be a recurring theme in the episodes coming up. Okay, so we will move over to Raw. And Raw opens up with Vince telling us that Ahmed Johnson has undergone kidney surgery. Event says if Ahmed's condition worsens, his kidney could be removed and potentially his career could be over. So he wishes him a rapid recovery. He does not mention anything about the Intercontinental title or his match with Farouk this Sunday at SummerSlam.
Yeah, unfortunate timing because this is the go-home show.
Yeah, so, I mean, this is a legitimate injury. Ahmed did have a kidney thing, so that was very bad timing.
Yeah.
And it really kind of derailed his career pretty much.
He was on his way to being maybe someone who might win the title.
But we'll see what happens with Ahmed from here. But yeah, he would not be at SummerSlam. But the first match of Raw is we have Farouk Assad with Sonny versus Skip. And this is the Raw debut for Farouk.
This match goes, I can't remember how long it went, but it still feels like it went a little too long. Farouk does a good scoop slam this match to Skip, and then he hits him with a pretty nasty dominator for the win.
Yep, I agree. The match was a little bit longer than it should have been, especially since he was wrestling Skip. But the match was mainly a point to show how vicious Farouk is.
Yes. After the match, they advertised Sonny coming out again tonight.
Yeah, they were definitely trying to sell her sex appeal. Try to get the young male audience in there, I guess. After this match, we have a Jake the Snake phone interview. Jake says he isn't going to take any more and says that the power that lives in him is going to crush Jerry the King Lawler at SummerSlam. So just advertising their match. No big development there, but we'll go back to Nitro. And the third match is Conan versus Jim Powers. And during this match, remember, Conan is still a babyface at this point. A USA champ breaks out, so it appears the Conan babyface run isn't going so well. We may need to change that.
Yeah, crowd's not into Conan at all, but they eventually will like Conan.
Yeah, when he starts acting more like the Conan.
He's gonna undergo a change quite. It's pretty soon after NWO for him.
Yeah, because admittedly, this version of Conan is quite bland.
Well, yeah, they never. Honestly, I can't even blame Conan. They just never gave him much to work with, and honestly, the character wasn't working.
The crowd cheers for Jim Powers when he is on offense, but the crowd doesn't get what they want because Conan wins and he uses the ropes on a pin for the win. So he cheated. I wonder. He may be going a heel turn here.
Some developments here with Conan.
Yep, some developments here, and that leads into the after match. We get an interview. Before the promo starts, Gene has to tell Conan which way the camera was because Conan could not find the hard camera, but he does find it. So Conan does say that ever since the NWO has come in, they have been stinking up the joint. And Conan says he has a foolproof plan and he will be sticking with the WCW in the war against the NWO.
This was odd. Like, Conan just didn't seem like he knew what he wanted to say.
Yeah, I agree. It was a rough promo, and it was a little weird for him to essentially turn heel with cheating to win, but then also announce his loyalty to WCW, kind of being a face there. That was weird. So, I don't know. WCW could have done a better job presenting that. But we'll go ahead and move on to the fourth match of the night. It was Ron Studd versus Chris Benoit with Woman and Miss Elizabeth.
Well, around this time, it seems like if you're about to have a match on a pay-per-view or a Clash with the Giant, you're going to have a match with Ron Studd right before that to show that you can beat Giants.
Yep, it's going to be Ron Studd or Roadblock, one of the two. Maybe even both.
Well, don't worry. When he turns Reese, it'll be probably the same thing.
But in case anyone doesn't know, Ron Studd is the Yeti. But to start this match off, Benoit shows he's not afraid of the big man. So he still goes up to him and slaps him right in the face. So Ron Studd overpowers Benoit for a little bit, and he gets in some offense. But Benoit gets the big guy down after working his leg, and he wins the match with a good-looking superplex on Ron Studd for the win. You don't only see 7-footers get superplex.
No, it's just funny because he was working, Benoit worked the leg, and then the guy was like, okay, I'm going to the turnbuckle.
Well, Jacob, there are reasons some people are just jobbers. But after the big victory from Benoit, we get an in-ring interview with Chris Benoit. Mean Gene announces that Benoit is having a match against the Giant on Thursday at the Clash of Champions. Gene asks Benoit about the Malenko match at Hog Wild, and Benoit says that Malenko is one of the greatest technical wrestlers in the world, and he respects his talents. But what Malenko doesn't know is that he is in the ring with a man with an agenda. And Benoit says he and the Horsemen have an agenda, and they have a few obstacles in the way of them achieving their agenda. And Benoit tells the Giant that he will knock him down to size. This is a terrible promo. He kept saying the word agenda. I'm like, holy smokes. Dude,
agenda.
Yeah.
There's like times in WCW where he wants to cut the longest promos, and I'm like, man, if you just say one or two lines, you're fine.
Yeah, if you cut that in half, been fine. But yeah, he learned from the school of Sullivan. You just keep going.
Over-explains, yeah.
When the crowd begs you to shut up. Still not good on the mic, but we're building towards that Giant versus Benoit match at Clash. But we'll move over back to Raw, and the second match we have is Savio Vega versus Crush with Clarence Mason. And this is Crush's return to Raw. Of course, he was here before. He has a, air quotes, tattoo on his forehead, but he has a new look that's not like Crush of old.
It's not Kona Crush.
No. Vince mentions that Crush was arrested on weapons charges, and Clarence Mason clarifies it, says he was never found guilty in a court of law. But in 1995, this is real. Crush was caught with steroids and unregistered firearms in Hawaii. But Vince also mentions that the last time we saw Crush, he looked and acted different, which is true. Very different. This part in commentary was kind of funny because Clarence Mason is there with Vince. Vince asks Clarence Mason a question about his conflict of interest with Camp Cornette, since he is Camp Cornette's lawyer. So how's he going to be a manager and lawyer at the same time? But Mason objects to Vince's question, and then he sustains his own objection. But back to the match. Crush dominated the majority of this match. He wins it with a full Nelson or Master Lock, Hurt Lock, whatever you want to call it. I thought that was interesting because I don't think he uses it much after this. He moves on to the Heart Punch. The crowd was not very much into this match, but this is the first time seeing this version of Crush, and Savio Vega the crowd's not reacting to him much at this time. A bit longer than I would have liked. It is what it is.
You can see at the end of the match, his tattoo is smearing.
Yeah. So this didn't do much for me, but after the match, we get a recap of Undertaker and Mankind battling last week, and I only note that because Vince keeps saying melee wrong. He keeps saying it's a melee, and he says it a lot of times, this melee. Now, I don't know if that's how you actually say it, but it does not sound right to me.
I've never heard someone else actually say it like that.
Yeah, a melee. Vince, get together. Melee. Just nitpicking, but, it bugged me. And after this match, Jacob, we see a little bit of that Sunny sex appeal that they're selling that you talk about, because after this, we see a commercial with Sunny behind a screen undressing, and she's talking about a bikini blast-off that's going to be on the free-for-all before SummerSlam, and we're starting to see the sex sells thing coming. That's going to be a major part of the Attitude Era. After this, we do have a Kevin Kelly interview with Ahmed Johnson. The same Kevin Kelly that was just fired from AEW, in case anyone's watching. Kevin Kelly asks Ahmed how is he feeling. Ahmed says the physical pain is nothing. It's the mental pain that hurts more. And he says as he was laying in bed in the hotel and he felt his stomach area feel cold, he says that's when he decided to go to the hospital, and that's when they found out his ruptured kidney and all that. Ahmed says Farouk ruptured his kidney on the first attack, and he says if his kidney doesn't stop bleeding, he may lose his kidney, and he doesn't know if he'll ever go back to wrestling or defending the Intercontinental title. And then the interview just kind of ends with Ahmed looking dejected, as if his career could be over.
Which, I mean, to be fair, they did not know if it was the end or not.
Yeah, probably was real emotion on his face, because he probably at the time did not know, because like he said, if he loses a kidney, very hard to wrestle that way. Again, he is legitimately injured. Bad timing for Ahmed, really bad timing. But this is the second time in less than a year, Jacob, they have done an injury story with a top babyface telling us they may never wrestle again. Yeah. This was legitimate. Michaels, this was fake. But we'll go back to Nitro. And for our fifth match of the night, we have the Steiner Brothers versus the Harlem Heat with Sensational Sherry and Colonel Robert Parker. And this is for the WCW Tag Team titles. During this match, Heenan asked Eric Bischoff, where was he last week? And Bischoff says he was taking care of some business. What business was that, Mr. Bischoff? What business was that?
WCW business, of course.
Yes. For the match, do you have any moves that you liked in here?
Yeah, I mean, you get some good Steiner liners.
The ending to this match, though, is a bit of a mess. So what happens is Scott Steiner hits Booker T with a suplex, but Sherry holds down Scott's foot, and Booker T takes advantage of that, and he pins Scott. And as this is going on, Rick Steiner chases Colonel Parker into the ring, and Colonel Parker falls on top of Booker T, and the ref disqualifies Harlem Heat. And Booker T and Colonel Parker argue after the match. And then Stevie Ray gets in at Robert Parker's face, and Sherry comes in and breaks the fight up between them both. My man. So she was trying to bring the peace to everyone. But the ending, I mean, him coming in the ring and then falling down, getting DQ'd, what the hell was that?
That's an oath.
Before that, this was the best match of the night by far, but the ending was such a clusterfuck, and I would like these matches more, like you said, without any of these managers involved, or maybe just Sherry involved.
But event that comes soon.
Still, though, I mean, this is Steiner Brothers versus Harlem Heat. We don't need all this. Yeah, but I think this is a case of WCW not realizing what talent they had at this particular time with the Harlem Heat. But yeah, that's just our opinion on that. But we'll go ahead to the next match, and it is Rey Mysterio versus Ultimate Dragon, and this is for the Cruiserweight title.
Another rematch from Hog Wild.
But to start, Ultimate Dragon comes out wearing a full mask, which I'm not accustomed to. I don't know if he does it, how often he does it, but it was unusual for me. And he blows red mist before the match, sort of as an intimidation tactic, because it looks like blood. I love all Ultimate Dragon Rey Mysterio matches, so I enjoyed this match. At one point later in the match, Ultimate Dragon does a hard-looking dive to Rey Mysterio on the outside, and it looks pretty rough. But Dragon then brings Rey Mysterio back into the ring. He has a moonsault on him for a 2 count. And Dragon then goes for his finish, but Rey reverses it to for a 3 count. Rey Mysterio does pick up the victory, and after he wins, he talks to the camera and says that if Malenko wants some, he can get it. This, though, for a Nitro match, this was a solid match. I give it 3.25 stars out of 5, which on Nitro, I mean, you might as well bump that up to 5. That's about as good as you're going to get. But this was a solid match. It told a good story with Rey being dominated for the majority of the match, but he still had the fight in him and found a way to win.
Yeah, and I like it, because it's not going to be realistic for Mysterio to be on offense the whole match.
Ultimate Dragon and Rey Mysterio have great chemistry.
Yeah.
But for our third match of the night for Raw, to show you the difference in quality of match quality between the two companies, our third match for Raw is TL Hopper and Who versus the Godwins with Hillbilly Jim. Yeah, TL Hopper and Who were on a tag team match on Monday Night Raw. Can you freaking believe it?
Yeah.
The only noteworthy thing for this match is Bob Backlund's on commentary, and Bob Backlund says that he wants to bring someone into the WWF who will improve the morality of our society. And he says kids should not watch Shawn Michaels because he is inappropriate for children. Then he goes on a weird tirade against public schools, and he gets so upset he eventually leaves. Yeah, this unfortunately doesn't lead to anything interesting. Bob Backlund getting a new protege, if you want to call it that. If you like Bob Backlund tirades, the crazy version of Bob Backlund, then you can watch this match for the commentary, because he does go on an insane tirade before he leaves. To further show you that WWF does not care about this match, we also have a Gorilla Monsoon interview during this match. And Monsoon says after seeing how serious the injury is to Ahmed Johnson, he has to make the Intercontinental title vacant. This is the second time we've done this in a short span.
Yeah.
Gorilla Monsoon continues. He says Farouk would not be awarded the title, and there will be a singles tournament that will begin next week to crown a new Intercontinental champion. But again, this is such a bullshit match. We're not even going to go into the moves. The finish of this match is slop drop on Who for the win. Again, Who is Jim Neidhart. So unfortunately, Jim Neidhart is a jobber at this point. My thoughts on this match were that I can't believe Raw had TL Hopper and Who on a show while they were trying to compete with WCW, who just had the NWO win the WCW title. I would think that Vince would be pulling together a better show than this, and is abysmal. I mean, again, we mentioned it in another episode, but thank goodness WCW happened. Otherwise, Vince would not have gotten his head out of his ass with this terrible.
I know, right? Jesus Christ, I know.
And Bob Backlund during this match was way more entertaining than any of the wrestling going on. But after this match, we do get a video for Bret Hart. Remember, Bret Hart has not been back to WWF since the WrestleMania match. Bret says that if he doesn't come back, then people are going to have to be happy with what he has accomplished. Bret asks rhetorically, he says, what is he coming back for? He says he is enjoying his time off, and the only thing that makes him want to come back is his fans. He tells us he will take some more time to think about it. And he says when he does come back, he wants to speak his mind to the fans to let them know if he is coming back or not. And if he does, he will bring his shovel.
Burying people.
We got some burying to do. Which, to be fair, when Bret Hart comes back, he is red hot. Great stuff. Probably his best run.
It's hard to beat 97 Bret.
So good stuff coming there. But we'll go back to Nitro and do the 7th match of the night. It is Ric Flair with Woman and Miss Elizabeth versus Macho Man for the U.S. title. Macho Man gets a really good reaction from the crowd, and he runs into the ring, and Flair and Macho Man, we start with exchanging blows, because again, these two hate each other. And they're making it look like a real fight, not like these AEW wrestlers when they do these forearm shots. They're actually punching each other. Both wrestlers are doing a good job of appearing fired up for this match, I thought.
Mm-hmm.
And at one point we go to commercial break, and back from commercial, Ric Flair brings Macho Man to the ropes, and he has Miss Elizabeth slap him in the face. Yeah, and Miss Elizabeth isn't the only woman to get some shots in on Macho Man. As Woman later on in the match, when Macho Man gets sent to the outside, she kicks him right in the midsection. So both the women getting their shots in here. And when Macho Man gets back into the ring, Flair puts him into figure 4, and he uses the rope for leverage, of course. But that doesn't get the win for him. Later on, Ric Flair goes to clothesline Macho Man, but Macho Man ducks it, and Flair clotheslines the ref. Savage clotheslines Ric Flair to the outside. Then Macho Man goes to the outside, and he goes to power drive Ric Flair on the concrete floor.
Yeah, he reps up the mat, man. He wants to kill this man. This ends now.
Yes, but before Macho Man can deliver the kill shot, Hollywood Hogan comes out and hits Macho Man in the back with a chair. Nick Patrick comes out to assist the other ref. He's doing his job, Jacob. He's helping out. Hogan then leaves, and the announcers ask, why is Hogan helping Flair? Because they have a match at Clash of Champions. Macho Man gets rolled back into the ring, and Nick Patrick counts Ric Flair's pin for a 3 count, and Flair even had the foot on the ropes.
Oh, no, not even necessary. I think I always laugh my ass off when Flair does that. He did that a lot when he was a heel.
Well, I'm saying with Nick Patrick especially in there, you could do whatever you want. Nick Patrick's not going to call it, so... So the cheating was ignored. Ric Flair wins yet again.
Second match of the night to end with someone you putting their foot or using the ropes for leverage.
My thoughts at the time when we were watching this, Will, is Macho Man ever going to get revenge on Ric Flair?
I don't think so.
We do have a ramp interview with Hogan after it, and Hogan says all of a sudden the NWO is real important around here, and he says he easily took the WCW title and transformed it into the NWO title. Hogan says there is no stopping the NWO, and he says this whole thing boils down to business, and he says they attacked the WCW not because who was there, but they attacked the WCW for a reason. He says the reason that he helped Ric Flair tonight was because he wanted to make sure there wasn't a mark on Flair before they face at Clash of Champions, so Flair has no excuses. And this is the second time we've done this story as well recently for WCW, because we just did that same exact storyline for Norton versus Ice Train. So I wish WCW would space out their storylines that are going to be the same. But, you know, maybe I'm just nitpicking.
They're hoping you already forgot about that feud.
Yeah. But anyways, Hogan continues on. He says the outsiders are here to clean up a little business for the NWO. And he says when they get done with Sting and Luger, they're going to change their names and they're going to start putting people in a proper category. He has trouble saying the word category.
Yeah, he stumbles at the end. It's kind of like Kevin Garnett trying to say the word equivalent.
Mm-hmm.
He said, "You, Flair, you'll be called the stupid little man."
This is not one of Hogan's best promos, but to end it, he says in Colorado, if Hogan could do what he did to his brother, the Booty Man, what is he going to do to Ric Flair?
Which is funny. I don't know why he had to reiterate that, because he already said that at Hog Wild.
Yeah, I guess it's just in case people
I guess it's just
Hog
for
Wild.
the TV crowd who didn't pay to watch it.
But yes, for a Hogan promo, this is pretty weak. He made almost no sense at all at the end, and the punchline that he was setting up for was so weak. I thought he was going to have something much better than that.
This is his worst promo since the NWO.
Yeah. After that, Bischoff does say that no one can find the NWO. Right after he says that, conveniently, we see Nash and Hall enter through the crowd. And this sets up our main events. So I'll go to Raw, since that is the weaker main event. And it will be Owen Hart with Jim Cornette versus Shawn Michaels with Jose Lothario. During Shawn's entrance, they cut to some scenes that Shawn Michaels was filming for Baywatch. And it was just funny to me that WCW did the same thing in 1995. It's kind of interesting to see both WWF and WCW did stuff in Baywatch.
Yeah, Baywatch was huge.
Yeah, I've never seen an episode, but this match, look, it's Owen Hart versus Shawn Michaels, so this is actually
and then you do get the added story bonus of Owen Hart, Shawn Michaels. He had the concussion off the enziguri. Yep. So you do have that added layer to it.
After the commercial break, we see Owen Hart mimicking Shawn Michaels tuning up the band. We see Owen trying to tune up the band. Owen he doesn't try to go do a Sweet Chin Music. He goes to do his spinning heel kick, but he misses it. And then Shawn does his flying forearm, and then he hits a diving elbow drop, Sweet Chin Music. But before he can get the win, Vader comes out. So Shawn knocks Vader off the apron, and then Shawn hits Owen Hart with the Sweet Chin Music for the second time for the win. And then after the match, Vader gets into the ring and with a chair, but then Shawn takes off Owen Hart's cast, which he needs for his serious arm injury. And then Vader and Shawn kind of have a standoff, kind of awkward looking standoff with a man holding a cast versus one with a chair.
Yeah.
Kind of weird.
Especially man Vader's size, as if attacking him with a cast is going to do a goddamn thing.
Yeah, and how's he going to get past the chair? But whatever. So Cornette, during the standoff, he throws a racket to Owen Hart, who tries to hit Shawn Michaels with it. But Shawn sees it coming, kicks him in this midsection. Yeah. Owen Hart throws the racket in the air. Shawn catches it and then hits Owen Hart with it. But during this time, this allows Vader to come into the ring and attack Shawn Michaels. And he hits him with his trademark punches and clotheslines. And then he hits the Vader bomb on Shawn, and he tosses Mike Chioda out of the ring. Then he hits another Vader bomb, and then he goes for a third Vader bomb, but Raw ends before we can see him hit it. That was very weird. But aside from that, this was a pretty good TV match. This is definitely the best match on Raw.
Yeah, for sure.
And like you said, they had some history together, which did add to the match.
Yeah, I mean, anytime you got Owen Hart Shawn Michaels, you're going to get a well-worked match.
And with this being a go-home show, I did like that they put some heat on Vader to make it seem like it was possible for him to win, even though we all know he doesn't. Overall, this was a bad week of Raw with only one match being entertaining.
Well, especially for a go-home.
Yes. And they debuted two guys on a go-home show, and they are people that no one gives a damn about, and they are not going to give a damn about. And it just shows you that they're just not operating at their best right now.
Vince McMahon doesn't quite get it yet, but he will.
But we'll move over to Nitro for our main event. It is Scott Hall and Kevin Nash versus Lex Luger and Sting.
Luger comes out, and then there's no Sting.
Yeah, it was weird. Yeah, Lex Luger comes out, there's no Sting, and he enters the ring. Hall and Nash are already in the ring, and he double clotheslines Hall and Nash, and the match kind of starts. And so it looks like the match was had to start without Sting. So what happened to Sting? So Luger dominates Hall and Nash in quick order in the beginning of the match, and then Sting comes through the crowd, and he gets into the ring, and the faces clear the ring. It should also be noted that the referee for this match is Nick Patrick.
Yeah.
So,
but the NWO got to taste their own medicine now. They got snuck up on.
Yep, and they don't like that.
No.
And to get to the finish, Sting is in the ring, and he gets Hall and Nash in opposite corners, and he hits a Stinger Splash on Nash, and he goes to hit Scott Hall with a Stinger Splash. But it appears that Nick Patrick pulls Scott Hall out of the way, or do you think that was an accident?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely something fishy. I don't know.
The Four Horsemen then run out. They don't like this sort of chicanery going on. So they run out and they chase Scott Hall and Nash away, and they lead through the crowd. So this match ends in a no contest.
As a WCW main event is apt to do, it ends in no contest.
Yeah, this match for the main event was not long at all. When I was watching it, I was like, these boys don't got that much time. So I knew we weren't going to get anything good.
It's all about just advancing the story.
Yeah, that's all it was. But after the match, we do have an in-ring interview with the Four Horsemen. Flair says he doesn't like Sting and Luger, but he will play ball with them because they are WCW, and they will style and profile Horseman style. That is the end of Nitro.
So Nitro won 3.3 to 2, so this is now 9 weeks into the streak.
Just 9. We got a long way to go.
Yeah, we got...
I think you and I both are going to say WCW wins this week again.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think when you lay it out, it's so obvious when you compare what happened on Raw versus Nitro that this wins. I mean, again, the only good thing that happened on Raw was Owen Hart for Shawn Michaels. And we have multiple things on Nitro that I liked.
Yeah, well, I did like the Vader stuff, but most of the matches, you didn't care anything about it.
In this episode of Nitro, we had Ric Flair versus Macho Man, Rey Mysterio versus Ultimate Dragon, Scott Hall and Kevin Nash versus Lex Luger and Sting. Even though that didn't last long, it's still more enjoyable
than what we got on Raw. Fighting a little bit, yeah.
I mean, the first half of Nitro, I would say, was really weak, but the second half was much better. Mm-hmm. So next, what we have for you happens on August 15th of 1996. It is on a Thursday. It is Clash of Champions. And to open up Clash of Champions, we have Dean Malenko versus Rey Mysterio for the Cruiserweight title match. But to begin the match, Malenko puts an onslaught on Mysterio, and he even does a jumping brain buster. You don't see that often. Rey Mysterio also does an impressive backflip off the barricade. I don't know how he managed to do it so well, because those barricades are not well known for being able to be balanced on. Especially WCW's barricades, where they don't have the padding. But then Rey Mysterio follows that up. He has a flurry of high-flying moves, but Malenko shuts that shit down, and he hits Mysterio with the beautiful gutbuster. And the ref counts to 3, but he notices Rey had his foot on the ropes. But Malenko doesn't see this. He grabs the title and argues with the ref. And during this time, Mysterio sneaks up on Malenko and pins him for the win. This was a good match, had some beautiful spots. I would definitely watch this again.
Yeah.
For our second match on Clash of Champions, we get this rematch again. Really? Why? We get VK Wall Street versus Hacksaw Jim Duggan. Why are we doing this match again? But Duggan actually comes out to a good reaction.
Oh, he always did. Duggan always got good reactions. I never quite understood it. But, he's just a baby face that, everyone knows isn't going to compete for the world title. So they're just happy to see him. So I kind of get it. I kind of understand Hacksaw now.
I don't understand why we need this match again.
No. Absolutely not. No one's asking for this match in 1996.
No. The finish of this match is Duggan goes to do the tape fist spot, but the ref sees it, and this might be the first time ever, he stops Duggan from doing it. And during this, VK Wall Street sneaks up behind Duggan and pins him for the win. Second match in a row, we have a sneak pin, but that's okay. But yeah, this match was definitely a miss for me. But after this, we do get a backstage interview with the Nasty Boys. Sags says they are in the WCW and they are here to fight like they always do. Knobbs says their loyalty stands with the Nasty Boys, and it always has. and they say they want to be in the triple threat tag team match tonight. And since they're not, they would have to make a nasty statement tonight. Nasty. And they are going to smash some heads tonight, and they want their title shot. I actually thought this was a pretty good promo from
That's good. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, it shows some good fire here. Well, but we'll move on to the third match for Clash of Champions. It is the Ultimate Dragon with Sonny Ono versus Konnan. Tanay says this, of course he would know this, he says this is the first head-to-head matchup between these two. And the announcers also start talking about Konnan's changed demeanor. During this match, Ultimate Dragon hits a moonsault and then a German suplex with a bridge for a 2 count. Konnan reverses the pin attempt and he holds Ultimate Dragon's tights for the 3 count. And then Konnan celebrates his ill-gotten win. After the match, the announcers are playing with the idea that Nick Patrick saw Konnan cheat and just didn't do anything about it. As far as this match, though, they didn't get much time, and it was more about building towards Konnan's heel character, which I'm fine with, but I did not like that he beat the Ultimate Dragon just because I am a big Ultimate Dragon fan.
I like the Dragon. They gave him a lot of losses he didn't need to take.
Yeah, but whatever. After this, we go to a backstage thing. We see Ice Train at the CompuServe table, and Norton clotheslines Ice Train out of his chair, and he tells Ice Train he doesn't got it. So they're just continuing their feud here. But yeah, that's that. So then we go to our fourth match of the night, and it was Ming versus Macho Man. Macho Man's entrance music hits, but he does not come out. And the ring announcer says Ming is the winner by forfeit. And then the announcers talk afterwards about Macho Man being too injured to make it to Clash of Champions, and they replay the footage of Hogan attacking Macho Man with a chair. This was total bullshit.
Bro, how pissed would you be if you're in the crowd? God, I'd be so pissed. I would have been so mad.
Yeah, it was utter bullshit to advertise a Macho Man match and not have it. Now, they didn't heavily advertise this match, but still, I would not be happy. This does lead to an in-ring interview with Kevin Sullivan. Gene, again, tells us that doctors are not allowing Macho Man to compete tonight. So wouldn't you know that before his music hit, though? I mean, you didn't just find that out, right? So that's another reason I was like, this is stupid. But Sullivan starts talking. He says he has hit enough people with a chair, but at least they knew it was coming. Just calling Hogan a coward for doing it from behind Macho Man's back. Sullivan continues on saying that for the past year, he hasn't been sucking up to Hogan. Sullivan asks Mean Gene, what does he have to say for himself and his friend, Hulk Hogan? Because Mean Gene and Hulk Hogan are, they have a lot of history together. Mean Gene says, Hogan was a great man, but something snapped, and he blames the outsiders. Jimmy Hart, he's there. He says the Dungeon of Doom is the strongest force in WCW, and the crowd boos. I'm surprised they didn't laugh because that is the most ridiculous statement I've ever heard in my life. Yeah, to further illustrate how ridiculous that statement was, after he says that, the Leprechaun comes out and he does his bullshit around the ring.
Rolling and stuff. And I think I want to say this might be the last time we see him.
I sure hope so, because it's awful. Sullivan ends it with saying that they are the last stand for WCW. And for WCW's sake, I hope it's not true, because WCW is dead.
They were doomed if they're the last stand. Y'all are doomed.
For this promo, it would have been a lot better if they didn't make us remember that the Leprechaun was a thing. When he came out, it immediately made him look amateur, and it made the statements of Dungeon of Doom trying to present themselves as a force even more laughable. So I thought this was a complete failure. Dungeon of Doom still sucks, so... But we will go to our fifth match of the night. It is Bull Nakano versus Medusa.
And you just saw this a week ago.
They even repeat some of the same spots. Nakano throws Medusa by her hair again, which still looks really painful.
Yeah.
Nakano also, during the match, she finds some nunchucks, and she uses them on Medusa during the match. And while Medusa's getting beat up with the nunchucks, you can hear a fan yell, "Come on, Medusa, kick her in her fat ass."
Yeah, like crazy.
And Medusa must have heard this, because right after that, she gets in some offense, and Sonny Ono jumps in the apron, and he goes to kick Medusa, but she moves out of the way, and Ono kicks Nakano instead.
Oh,
and
no.
then Medusa, I know. And this allows Medusa to roll her up for the win. So Medusa finally won. And this was a fine match, especially for a 1996 women's match. I thought it was fine.
Yeah.
You really weren't going to get too much more at this point. We should mention, Jacob, congratulations to Miss Bull Nakano getting inducted to the WWE Hall of Fame.
Well deserved.
She deserves it.
Yeah.
So congratulations. We will move on to what happens next. It is a backstage interview with Ric Flair, Woman, and Miss Elizabeth. Flair says tonight is all about him and the Horsemen. He says he is a 13-time WCW champion and will soon be a one-time NWO champion. He says he is the pinnacle of wrestling, and Hogan changing his name to Hollywood Hogan hasn't changed who Hogan really is. He's kind of inferring that Hogan is not really this bad guy he's saying he is. He's more putting up a front. Flair then tells Nash that if they jump on him, Mongo will get him, and if Hall jumps on him, then Arn will handle him, and then Chris Benoit will handle whoever the fourth man is. So similar thing to what he said on Nitro. I thought it was a good promo for Ric Flair. Did a good job setting up the match. So then that leads us to our sixth match of the night. It is Diamond Dallas Page versus Eddie Guerrero.
For the Lord of the Ring.
And, for the Lord of the Ring. How can I forget such a prestigious title or a ring?
That is a short match.
Eddie Guerrero wins with the Frog Splash, so he wins the Battle Bowl ring. I also say this is Eddie's first title win, which I thought was dumb because this is not a title.
No,
this is
not
a ring.
title at all.
So, not a title, not his first title win, but WCW is trying to present this Battle Bowl ring as a big deal, but nobody's buying it. But after the match, DDP goes to shake Eddie's hand, showing some good sportsmanship. But when Eddie goes to shake his hand, Diamond Dallas Page betrays him and hits a diamond cutter on Eddie, and then he starts choking him out. And DDP throws the ref out of the ring, and then he hits another diamond cutter on Eddie. And then he picks up Eddie, puts him on the top rope, and then Chavo runs out and tries to stop DDP, but DDP handles Chavo with ease, and then he hits a diamond cutter. Yeah, it didn't work. He hit a top rope diamond cutter on Eddie. This match was short. These two should have been given more time. The match was to set up the post-match angle, which to set up a Diamond Dallas Page versus Eddie Guerrero feud. Yeah, I like to see that.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't like that the match was short, and I don't care about him winning the ring. I think that actually kind of cheapens the match. I'd rather the match just not be with that, but it set up a feud that should be fun, so I'm okay with that. After this match, Hulk Hogan drags Mean Gene out to the entrance ramp by the collar. He's not treating Mean Gene like the friend that they used to be.
Friends don't drag someone out by the collar.
So we do have a ramp interview with Hulk Hogan. Hogan tells Mean Gene how dare he come out and talk about Hulk Hogan earlier. Hogan tells Mean Gene that under normal rules, Gene can say whatever he wants, but they are now under NWO rules, so Mean Gene better watch out. But Hogan continues on saying he will shut up all of Ric Flair's fans and says Flair in all of his glory can't lace up his boots. How do you feel about that one?
I was like, sir, you think you have it flipped.
I was like, Jacob does not agree with that.
No.
Hogan says that there's a Babe Ruth of baseball, Michael Jordan of basketball, but he is the Hulk Hogan of professional wrestling. And he says the NWO will beat Ric Flair at his own game, and Flair will be known as a stupid little man who couldn't get the job done. And then Hogan finishes with telling Mean Gene he better not see his face ever again. This was a much better promo from Hogan than the one he did on Nitro. Aside from the reference, again, to the lame put down the stupid little man.
I honestly think that's why they had Hogan do another promo tonight, because I think Hogan knew he had a terrible one on Nitro.
Yeah, but then we'll go to our seventh match, and this is the one they advertised on Nitro. It is Chris Benoit with Woman and Miss Elizabeth versus the Giant with Jimmy Hart. Before the match starts, Woman has trouble getting Benoit's coat off.
Yeah.
And this allows Giant to drop kick Benoit, and he gets a huge, huge choke slam on Benoit.
Benoit up so dang high, and Benoit.
So he hits the choke slam, and that's it. The match is that quick, over and done with. It was a waste of time to have Benoit beat these Giants on these other Nitros that we had preceding this, just to lead to this. I was not happy with the way this match turned out.
No, I'm guessing they were like, oh, it's on TV, so we need to have it be short. But I was very surprised. So I guess that they were going for that. A shocked reaction. They got it, but, still.
But unfortunately, it appears that they are setting up a Dungeon of Doom versus Four Horsemen feud, which we've already mentioned, but I was hoping they would just forget about it. They didn't, because after the match, Giant points to the camera and he does the Four Horsemen taunt, and then he removes a finger to show there's only 3 more left. I did like that. I thought that was pretty good.
I did like that, yeah.
But again, I'm just not interested in seeing a Dungeon of Doom versus Horsemen feud.
No.
So, quick squash match. We will go to our 8th match. It is the Steiner brothers versus Lex Luger and Sting versus Harlem Heat with Sensational Sherry. And this is a triple threat tag team match for the tag team titles. When Harlem Heat come out, no Colonel Parker with them tonight to start out. But don't worry, he'll come out later. During the match, though, we get a nice German suplex from Rick Steiner on Lex Luger, followed by a good belly-to-belly by Scott Steiner. Always got to mention the suplexes. I mean, that's kind of their trademark. Later on, Luger does get the torture rack on Scott Steiner, but it's not his best. It really doesn't look that great.
No.
But eventually, every man, aside from Booker T and Scott Steiner, start brawling outside of the ring. Scott Steiner, inside the ring, hits the Frankensteiner on Booker T. But as he does this, the outsiders come out. Nick Patrick counts to 2, but then he looks to the outside and he rules the match a disqualification due to outside interference. And then Scott Steiner argues with Nick Patrick after the match. The ending to this match was trying to continue the storyline of Nick Patrick. Is he a shady referee? Is he not? But I thought this was a really good match until the finish. But I understood the finish. I know that they're going for this Nick Patrick being the NWO referee, so I was fine with it. The only question I had at the time is I wonder why the NWO would screw over the Steiners when I thought they were going to screw over Sting and Lex Luger. You know, they were feuding with them. So I was kind of curious of the NWO's involvement. But after this, we get an interview with Nick Patrick. He explains his decision. Nick Patrick says he ruled outside interference. He says the rule book is clear. It says outside interference is a disqualification. Nick Patrick says what makes a great referee is that he can see 2 things at the same time and he follows the book to a T. He says he is an innocent man and he is team WCW all the way. So he cleared the air for us. I mean, that's you have to take him at his word.
Yeah.
He is a senior referee. So I think it's water under the bridge. Now we can move on.
It's been addressed.
So now that that's out the way, we can go to our main event of the evening. It is Ric Flair with Woman of Miss Elizabeth versus Hollywood Hogan for the WCW title. This match does have a big match feel, which you always love. It does feel like this is an important match.
So Flair sits on the turnbuckle and then he slaps Hogan. You got a kick out of that.
Yeah, both these guys work the crowd well during this match. Hogan's acting more flamboyant than before, and at one point he gets into the face of a woman in the crowd, and he's just getting some heel heat, but I thought it was funny.
Yeah.
Hogan goes for a test of strength, which he obviously wins against Ric Flair, but they don't call him the dirtiest player in the game for nothing. He bites Hogan's hand, and then later on, he hits a nice stalling suplex on Hogan.
I did like that.
But, the suplex did lead to Hogan going to his usual hulking up thing. I was kind of surprised to see Hogan still hulking up while being a heel.
I don't know if I've seen him hulk up again.
Yeah, maybe he tried it, and it's like, that doesn't work.
Maybe he forgot he was a heel.
Yeah, he's been doing it forever. So
I
was surprised to see that. But Hogan, he does his Hulk up routine. He goes for the leg drop, but Flair moves out of the way and he gets the figure 4 on Hogan. Hogan grabs the ref and he throws him to the corner. And the outsiders come out and they get the jump on Flair. And this leads to Horsemen coming out along with Sting and Lex Luger, and the NWO run away from the match. And the match was ruled a disqualification. And so what a surprise! Another main event, another disqualification.
Another funky finish.
Yep. I actually thought this was a pretty decent match for the finish. I knew it was obviously not going to end with a Ric Flair win because Hogan is not going to drop the title already. So DQ, I knew was
doesn't work for him, brother.
No. I mean, that's it for Clash of Champions, but not a bad show. I did feel like we were just trying to get through some stuff before we got to some better stuff.
Yeah. There won't be too many more Clash of Champions.
Yeah, this is one of the final ones they do. Yep. So other than that, we will move on to SummerSlam.